Bristol Flyers podcast.
Hello, welcome back to the Bristol Flyers podcast. I'm Joel Osborne, he is Sam Hardy, and Sam, it's great to finally be able to say it. The Flyers, they're playing in Europe next season.
Yes! Joel, I'm so flipping excited. Nearly as excited as being sat right next door to you again rather than on the other side of the studio. We're in nice and tight today, mate.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have you back with us, nice and close as always. And obviously, a big news coming out of the club today. Flyers, they've announced their entry into the European North Basketball League. It is their first foray into the European world of basketball. Huge news. We announced it this morning. Sam, you fancy a couple of European away trips this season?
I mean, I've just been speaking to our guests and I'm saying, Joel, we need to do a pod on the road. It's probably very important. And to be honest, mate, I thought we were going to eise people in on this episode and you've just gone straight in. You know, all
it's the biggest news of the week.
It's true.
You've got to go nuts on it. Of course, ENBL, it's his third season out there. The Flyers will be competing alongside teams from Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Poland, Czech Republic, Kosovo, Israel, and Ukraine as well. But I think the Ukrainian team plays in Estonia at the moment, of course, for obvious reasons. But really exciting time for the club. And we've got our guest on the podcast this week to talk us all through it. It's none other than Flyers head coach Andreas Kapoulas. Coach, welcome to the pod.
Hi fellas, how you doing? Good to see you both.
Good to see you, coach.
You seem very happy today, coach. Some big news around the club going out today.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great story, right? It's exciting. It's such an exciting kind of news and an opportunity to compete in Europe. And, it has been such an incredible journey for the last 18 years. I was saying to our players this morning, I remember 18 and a half years ago, I remember meeting Nick Burns, our assistant coach, and just kind of being in the Globe Inn outside Bath and just sitting down and saying, Nick, would you like to come in and coach this new project with the Flyers? And, and 18 and a half years later, here we go, being able to play in Europe. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's just awesome.
Before we get into talking about the ENBL, I've got a funny story to tell you. This morning, Sam, we announced made the massive announcement on socials. We put the graphic out that you can see just behind us here if you're watching the video version of the podcast. There it is. It's got Malcolm Delpesh and Mike Miller on it, and it's got Coach Kapoulas on it. I get a phone call from Coach K at 10:01 a.m.
When did it go out? 10?
The announcement went out at 10 a.m. this morning. I get a phone call from Coach K 10:01 a.m. Saying, Joe, I'm just stood here next to Malcolm Delpesh, and he says that's not him. He says it's Marcus Delpesh.
What?
And it's definitely Malcolm, because that's a photo taken from our media day.
He's wearing the kit from this year.
He is wearing the kit from this year. So Malcolm didn't remember having that exact photo taken. Almost gave me a mini heart attack.
What? Was he being genuine? He genuinely thought it was his brother.
True story.
Yeah.
True story.
So I was panicking Skywalker over here, just like trying to flap around. I was like ringing the graphic designers. I was like, oh my God, this photo, it's not Malcolm, it's Marcus. What are we going to do? And then I just looked online at the archive, the original photo where that comes from, and it's from our media day this year. So if you're watching the video version of the podcast, it may look like Marcus Delpesh, but it actually is Malcolm on the left hand side.
Oh, I love that. That is so good.
Yeah, funny story. Coach, obviously we want to dig all into the ENBL. We want to find out more about it. Essentially, Flyers bring the league up to 16 teams for next season. Clubs are drawn into 2 18 groups. They compete in 7 midweek European game days. Am I right in thinking at least 3 of those will be at home at the SGS Wise campus?
Yeah, correct. They're looking at the new format for the competition. Before, it would be almost like a central venue for over 2 or 3 days, play, have 3 teams and play just games with each other. So the idea is that you're going to have 3 home games and 4 away games, and I think that's going to be the plan for us.
Yeah, because originally, a lot of people will think of European basketball and they'll think of EuroLeague, Euro Cup, which London Lions obviously have been playing in, the FIBA Europe Cup and the Basketball Champions League. And the ENBL is a very new league, isn't it? It's only it's going to be its 3rd year next season when we join. And essentially, a lot of the teams that have been playing in it have Basketball Champions League experience. They also have FIBA Europe Cup experience as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a class that had experience in European competition. Anvil, that won the competition last year, won the FIBA Europe Cup this season. and the Polish club that won. I'm not going to say their name because I don't want to kind of mess it up. But the club that won this year, they're like in the top 3 teams in the Polish championship. It's really competitive. The Lithuanian team that was in the final was in the top 3 in the Lithuanian championship this year. So I think it's a great stepping stone for us. I think it's an opportunity to understand what it takes to compete in European competition on and off the court. And I think the fact that we don't have to have the amount of games that London have played, and it gives us an opportunity to get a taste and prepare accordingly for this type of competition. It's got to be 7 games. Obviously, there's got to be playoffs as well. So hopefully we can progress in the playoffs, quarterfinals, and then a Final Four. The Final Four this year was in Poland. It's just great. I think it's the right fit for us where we are right now. It's the next step in our development, really.
I got some questions for you, Coach. So, question 1.
Are you going to ask me if you're coming with us?
No.
Is that your first question?
Well, obviously,
So
we'll
how many
question
people can
0.
come to their away? How many people can come to their away game?
I think I saw a question today come through from Matt Hardy on Twitter saying, "Is there space on the planes?" Everyone wants to come and support the team. It's amazing.
Sam, are you looking to play next season?
Yeah, I want to play. I saw the open trials. I'm going to come. Our local league team has just won the league, Coach. So actually, I'm looking for that step up into the view.
Send me your tape and let me speak to your agent after this, and we'll see what happens.
Firstly, Joel, do you want to be my agent?
Yeah, I'll take a cut on that and get you in the team, no problem.
No, my actual questions are: do we know already the 7 games we're going to play or not?
No, we don't know the teams that we're going to play yet, and we don't know the dates. That's kind of be over the next few weeks and months where the schedule is going to be finalised. The games will be spread between through November to February, and the Final Four is around March time, basically. So yeah, we should know our opponents, but it's going to be really exciting. We're the first team to be announced for next season. There's obviously teams returning. There's got to be some new teams from what I understand as well. Yeah, it's going to be all exciting. But to be the first one to kick off, obviously they had a very successful year this year. The league is growing, which is great, and we're growing. So I think it's, as I said before, it's just the right fit.
Yeah.
Do they bring over their own referees, or do we use referees from the UK?
So there's got to be an experience. This is the other thing. There's got to be a developmental experience for officials in the UK as well. So British referees as well. So I cannot recall exactly right now, but I think we're taking 1 referee with us for the away games. And then you've got to have 2 home referees for the home games, basically. Yeah. And the other team is going to be bringing a European referee. So, we've been in communication with BBF, with the British Basketball Federation, and the BBL. So I think they were very supportive, and it's not just the playing element, and for us as a club, but it's also what it would do on other elements in terms of the officials involved in the games as well.
Yeah.
I've got a million more. I'm sure we'll cover some of it here, Joel, but it's so cool.
Yeah, how did it all come about? Because I know it's always been an ambition of Flyers to want to play on the European stage at some point. I don't think people were expecting it to be so soon, but how did it come about? Did the league approach you guys to join them at some point?
Yeah, they reached out. I think the communication happened a couple of years ago. We've gone back and forth on emails, and we following the league, and we felt this was the right time, and we spoke. We started really having proper communications back. I think it was probably November time. Mike Atkins, our team manager, went to watch some of the games in Latvia in January, and we've been going back and forth, discussing, just making sure that it works for both sides. And I think the whole thing, the agreement has been, like, since before their Final Four. I think we agreed on everything around February time, and since then we've just been holding back on the news, and we felt it was the right time to go out and make everyone aware, really. So it's just I'm just really excited about it. I think you're pinching yourself a little bit, because I think for us, certainly our venue and the specification of the venue is one of the smaller venues in the BBL. And I think ENBL takes that in consideration, but they understand that they want clubs to develop, and I think they see in us a club that has aspirations, And maybe you were thinking, oh, let's wait for our new venue and then consider European competition. But what this gives us is, with a new venue in the horizon, it gives us an opportunity over the next couple of years to test ourselves in Europe and really understand what it takes. London Lions have learned a lot over this past year. Certainly Leicester have played before in European competition. So I think to have an opportunity like that, where we can learn, because that has been always what we've been doing, like the years that we've talked. Last podcast I was here, we were saying about the journey and what an incredible journey has been. 9 years in the lower national leagues in Basketball England, and then 9 years in the BBL, and every year we've been learning in the BBL, from year one to now. And obviously we're having an amazing year this year. Like, we've broken all club records basically, and now that's the transition. That's the next step, right? So we want to learn what it takes, and we always follow a process. I had a recent interview and I said we have a process. So through all those 18 years we have a process, and I think for us competing in Europe, the goal has always been domestically, to perform at a high level and win a championship, and that remains the goal. But we also want to keep on progressing, and certainly Europe was always an ambition of the club, really, and to have the opportunity to do it with the new venue in the horizon as well, it makes it even more exciting.
And just a bit of context for the listener in terms of the level of competition that we're entering here. I did some research into the competition. So 8 of the 15 teams that played in the ENBL last season have played in the Basketball Champions League at some point in the past. 9 of the teams, the 15 teams that were in the competition last year, played in the FIBA Europe Cup. This is a seriously high level. It's not. I know it's a very new league, and people may not be aware of it, but the level of competition is extremely high. These are teams that regularly compete in the qualifiers for the Champions League or in the FIBA Europe Cup.
Yeah, you named the level of competition and how many teams. I mentioned, like clubs like Anvil. I mentioned like teams from the Polish Championship, the Lithuanian Championship. They're like, they're big leagues in Europe. So it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. And we're planning to go there and compete. That's the plan. But that's the fun part of it, right? I think we've got to test ourselves and find out, just organizationally. I keep on talking about on and off the court what it takes in terms of the roster, what it takes off the court, what we need to do. I think we're gonna get some valuable lessons basically. So it's going to be good.
And even I don't know if you remember Jalen McLeod, former Flyers point guard. He actually played in the league last season. Have you had a chance to speak to him at all about them? I think Mike actually saw him when he went on the visit.
Mike, I haven't spoken to Jalen, but Mike, I think briefly met with him.
Yeah.
And obviously he's been doing very well. The Estonian club as well, playing for the Estonian club. The level of players. They're guys with EuroLeague, EuroCup. I think, if I'm correct, in the final there were a couple of players with actually NBA experience as well.
Wow.
So it's high level competition. And the amount of text messages I had today and things, and I think from players and just agents and everything, and it's a high level of competition, and for us to be able to take that step, it's not an easy step in British basketball, and I think everyone has been watching London Lions, and they've done, I think, an awesome job in their first year, like playing that type of level of competition. And they've done extraordinary, and I think there is a real drive in British basketball at the moment. The league is growing. I think teams are getting their venues. Sheffield, Caledonia got to be in their new venues soon. I think there's a great momentum, and I think we're going to see more and more teams playing in Europe. And this is what about. And I think I said it I had another interview just before. What's exciting about this is one the success that we had as a club this year. But I think what they will do in terms of inspiring the next generation playing in European competition. You see Corey Samuels playing for the BBL team this past season, the last couple of years, and he's come through our youth program. And you're imagining, like, a 10-year-old, 12-year-old right now coming to watch us play in Europe next year, and that will inspire the next generation. Players of ours wearing the Flyers vest, boys and girls, and I think that's what the exciting bit about it is.
You speak a little bit of all the text messages you got, messages from agents, etc. Do you think as a recruitment sort of plan comes through, like this is another draw for maybe overseas and American players coming through to be like, actually, that's a team I want to play for because they've got all this aspiration and playing in Europe and all the rest of it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think certainly. I mean, there's got to be, from a recruitment perspective, the opportunity to play in European and domestic competition. It's something that players will look forward to. I mean, the BBL is transforming. I mean, over the 9 years, we've seen how the level of competition has gone up, and this year has been another notch really on that. And I think a lot of players are taking notice. You know, I was having a conversation with Sam Decker after the game, London, and he was saying, you know, our league, there's some credibility in our league now. What London Lions are doing and the level of players. So I think a lot of players are taking notice of our league, and certainly the fact that we're playing European competition next season is going to be another kind of motivation for someone to join us here at the Flyers.
Yeah, and all the games are streamed live on YouTube or on Facebook as well, aren't they? That you can watch every game. So if you can't get a chance to travel with the team and do the massive European adventure with us, you can always watch online and follow the team's progress across the season.
A lot of sellouts, obviously. If you haven't had a chance to come and watch us because of that, 3 more opportunities, Joel, with home games next season.
Yeah, it'll be 3 extra games for us to sell. There'll be midweek games, likely on Tuesday or Wednesday, right, Coach?
Yeah. Tuesdays and Wednesdays are the games. I think for us, most probably it's going to be a Tuesday night game. But yeah, I think some teams will be playing on Wednesdays as well. Some of their away games could be then.
Yeah, there's been some great reaction online from some of the fans after the announcement was made this morning. I imagine the players have known for a little while longer than the fans have. Have you told? What was their reaction when you told the current team that Flyers will be playing in Europe next year? Were they excited?
Yeah, I think they were really excited for the club and being part of our family. Really, I mean, I love our guys. I think we had the news about our venue, you know, where we got planning permission, and everyone came to the evening. And that was back now. I mean, a while ago. It was October, November time.
Yeah, right at the start of the season for us.
It was starting, and you know, like when it got approved. I mean, I got a little bit emotional. I'm getting emotional right now thinking about it. But I look up on the stands, and there's all our players, and there was some really excitement kind of thing. You know, I'm thinking about it. I'm getting emotional, and there was some genuine excitement. And you know, for some of those guys, they had only been here like a couple of months, basically. So our players are invested, you know, they're really committed, and I think the performance on the course have demonstrated that, and I think everyone genuinely is pleased and for the club and where it's heading, and they can see that there is a progress there.
Yeah, we've had some obviously talk about the reaction online. We've had some questions come through from some of the supporters after this morning's announcement, and we've got a couple we can read out to you here. And this one it sort of follows on quite nicely to what we spoke to about recruitment and everything like that. It's Kevin Morgan on Twitter. He asks, will this announcement help to keep most of the roster together for next season? He goes on to say, after what they've achieved as a squad, it would be great to keep the majority, if not all the players for next season, with the incentive of European basketball. Yeah,
I mean, we would love to have all our guys return. But you know, the reality of the situation is not every year you're going to be able to bring back your whole roster, really. And you know, Nick, I think we had an end of season awards like evening last year, and Nick said it really well. Like, you know, playing professional basketball, it's very short in terms of duration. You know, you have maybe 10, 12 years kind of thing of playing. So you got to think about your career moves and everything. Certainly, we will welcome all our players returning, but at the same time, we want them to progress. And if there's greater opportunities out there, there is always the financial side, but I think it's also the higher level of competition. And I think for us is, you know, we've been in the past a stepping stone for some players that have gone and achieved greater things and playing in a higher level leagues, and that's awesome to see. Some players have decided to stay with us. So, you know, I mean, our intention is consistency through the roster. So certainly we will be looking to welcome back some of our players, and we want to keep on building. You know, like we had a great season this year. And we want to keep on kind of growing. And I think consistency in the roster is very important. Certainly the opportunity to play in European competition will be an extra motivation for our current roster, as well as, you know, new recruits. But it's an exciting time for the club, and everyone is so happy I got a text message from our current players kind of thing saying how excited they are kind of thing, and it's just genuine. And I keep on going back, like our team this year, last year's team as well kind of thing. We have some guys that have been really invested, and how they go about doing things, it's a real family, and people don't see it sometimes because it's behind the scenes. Everyone is generally happy, but at the same time we are focused because we have the playoff semi-finals ahead of us. So, and I know we're going to talk about it in a little while. The focus is still on the playoff semi-finals. It's great that we've been able to come out with this news. It's something that we've been to have it out on the public domain is really good, and it creates a lot of excitement and a buzz. But we are very focused on the challenge ahead. But we felt this was a good time to go out with the news. But in terms of where our squad is right now, is everyone is looking forward to the Friday night game.
Yeah, certainly promises to be exciting future starting on Friday with that semi-finals. We will get on to that semi-finals in a second. I got one more question come through from a supporter about the ENBL announcement. This one from Tom Waterson on Instagram. He says, "Does this mean we'll need a bigger squad for next season with the European games as well?" Yeah,
I mean, you're looking at 7 additional games to an all very heavy schedule, right? And then potentially playoffs as well. So I think it's part of this process that I was talking about, finding out what it takes. We want to continue to build our roster for the domestic championship as well. But I understand that the positive thing is because the amount of games is not as big as London Lions, who I think it has been more than 20 games basically that they had to play. Hopefully we can spread out the fixtures and it will not impact as much in terms of loading. And certainly we want to maintain our focus in domestically as well. So I think we just got to find out. I think I keep on saying it, we're in a journey, so it's not going to happen overnight. Our plan is to go and be competitive. We're not just taking part. That has always been our goal. And you've got to have ups and downs through seasons, but we're there to win things. That's what we want to do. So we're going in the competition to try to win it, and that will be our next goal really. So we will take those steps and see what we need to do to make sure we keep growing as a club.
Great stuff. Well, we're super excited to follow the journey. We'll definitely have to do some kind of preview content, sort of previewing each of the teams so fans can learn more about who's in the competition once the league announces the squads that are going to be competing. And we'll see if we can get someone from the league to maybe come on the podcast as well, Sam, to talk to us about how great it is to have a team from the UK come in and join their ENBL family as well. So that'd be great.
It's just so exciting. I'm really thanks for that, Coach. Really good to get a bit of your insight on it. And but yeah.
I think so. To interrupt you, I think having someone from the ENBL here, if it's Lasma or Edgar's, the people behind the running of the league, it's a very professionally run league. They're growing constantly, and I think they've been running youth competitions for a number of years as well. So and. You had some British academies taking part in that as well, and they've been doing a great job. So I think they're growing, and it's great to be part of it. So I'm really looking forward to listening to a podcast here. And Lasma, Edgar's, I think it would be great to hear what they have to say.
Yeah, if you're listening, Lasma and Edgars, we want you here on the Bristol Flyers podcast.
We'll get you here on the Bristol Flyers podcast.
Great stuff. Andreas, we haven't even talked about the playoff semi-finals really. I had a brief mention of it there, but we've got to talk about the playoff semi-finals because 2 big games coming up this weekend, Friday and Sunday against the Leicester Riders. How's it been in training this week?
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, obviously exciting. Again, you're at this stage of the season. It's the most intense, the most competitive, so we've got to look after our bodies. We played a good series against Manchester. I thought through the 2 games, we defended well. Obviously, we had this very strong second half performance up in Manchester that gave us that big lead in aggregate score. And then we just had to finish the job. And it wasn't easy. Manchester have experienced, talented players, the likes of Dirk Williams and Ramon Fletcher. Those guys are like BBL legends, like they won multiple league MVPs, championships. So we knew it was not going to be an easy task. And we've been going with good momentum. We've been winning games. It was great to finish the regular season strong with those 3 wins. And to have VJ back for the quarterfinal series. That was important as well. And the team has been rolling, and like going into this Leicester series, we have everyone fit and healthy, and we really look forward to it.
Yeah, and just a quick look back on that series against Manchester. The first leg was on Thursday. 97 points to 71 was the final score. This is the league's best offense in the league, in the league this season. And to hold them to 71 points and that third quarter, I mean, you outscored them 28 points to 10. Was that like one of the best defensive performances you think, that best quarters of defensive period you've seen this season?
Yeah, I think you look at the stats. I mean, they're a team that the three ball is very important in their game, and I think in the second leg they shot something like 33% from the 3-point line. They had 7 threes in the first leg. They had 6 threes. I think about 16%. So to keep a team like that on only 13 threes with an average of about 25% from the 3-point line, when they're a team, that high volume shooting team like them, and keep someone like Dirk Williams to, I think, 7 points in the first game and 1 out of 6 from the 3-point line. He still had an 18-point game in the second leg, and someone like Green as well. Like Green has been playing really well, and he's been averaging like 18 and 9 or something like that, almost a double the whole season. And then in both games he was below his averages, and I think he was single digits, if I'm correct, for both games, or something along the lines. Basically, I think there was a lot of effort there on the defensive end, and I think that was key for the matchup. I mean, to keep a team at the end of the day over 2 games, 150 points, around 75 points average. I mean, that, and also that what that did is it helped us to get out in transition. It helped us to get stops, allowed us to get out on the open floor, and when we were on that momentum in that second half, up in the first leg, a lot of things happened in transition. So yeah, I think we need to credit a lot of our defense. Our guys took a lot of pride, played the matchups very well, team effort really, kind of thing. So.
Yeah, and then Tevin Ollison lighting it up as well.
I mean, the thing is, it helps. I mean, we shot in both games 40% from the 3-point line. So I think that helps. And Tevin going 7 out of 10 played a big part to that. And also him defending. Like, you can always look at the offensive performance, but you got to see him also guarding the best or one of the best players on the other team in Dirk Williams, basically, and picking him up on the full length of the court and just making him go zigzag and all those kind of things. So that's great, and guys got him the ball at the right spots.
Coach, you had 5 seconds left in the first leg. You wrote up a play, had a timeout, and it turned into a running, one-footed 3-point attempt from Tevin Ollison that he made. That is exactly the play you wrote up, yeah?
Well, the play was for him to come off a screen, potentially get a 3-point shot. We want to also get Mike on the play involved, but they switched the screen, and then Tevin just did a very good job of getting open. I think Dirk Williams just missed him for a second, and we knew the importance of that. That was like the last 4 minutes of the game were huge, because I think we're like up 16 points, and we ended up winning by 26. There was that 10-point run of those last 4 minutes, and I think in the 40 seconds, I think it was a 19-point game with 40 seconds left or something, and we extended it to 26. That, in these aggregate score games, that's huge. We've been in these situations where we're down 20. It happened last year in Manchester, and it happened like when we were playing Newcastle, we're down 20. When we're in Newcastle, we're able to cut it in the last couple of minutes. We did a little run, and I think we cut it down to 11. Against Manchester, we cut it down to 12. It gave us a chance on the second leg. And this time around, we're in a different position, and it could have been very easily to let go of the lead and just bring it down to single digits and Manchester have a chance, but we just actually extended. That was big.
Yeah, it's massive. And that unsportsmanlike foul and that 3 at the end, I mean, that's 5 points in like 10 seconds right there. And that, if it wasn't over then, it goes into the second leg, an early 9-0 run for Flyers to start the second leg. You felt like that was probably the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, it's actually, when you're up 26 points on aggregate, I mean, our guys were ultra locked in, focused. But when you're up 26, you're thinking like all sorts of things come through your mind. So we really wanted to get that game going, but certainly having that strong start and then when you're going in those last 4 minutes of the game, I think we're up 11, 12 points, whatever it was at that point. You're on aggregate up by 40. I mean, I think whatever you say about this aggregate score, it does have some excitement. Obviously, you have those situations like it happened, but in the past, it has produced some really exciting games. I mean, last year's game, we're like down on aggregate 12 points, and you know we are on 12 points, and then Mike makes the shot, we go to 14. Like Malcolm gets the block, keeps it to 14, and we're through. But certainly a best of 3 series, I think, like, you know, when it comes to playoff basketball, you want to be going there. But I can see, like, I was very skeptical when we entered the BBL in terms of the aggregate score system. But I can see that there can be excitement. There can be some games that are like really, it's kind of almost it's done. But I can see the excitement for it. And you got to think, it makes you think in a more tactical way kind of thing. And certainly, I mean, you had Dan Rutledge here kind of thing. As Nick said, a proper guest. So, and Dan said it, like, you know, that timeout at the end, you know, you can win by 23 or 26. There's 3 points can make a difference, really. So, yeah, and I think it's experience. We've learned over the years how important it is to stay focused in our possession. And obviously, you know, in Leicester, we're playing a team that has a lot of experience in these situations.
Yeah, and just a quick word on the fans in that second leg. I know you had that 26-point lead, but they're all there in their pink T-shirts. It really felt like a playoff game. The atmosphere was sort of fizzing with anticipation ahead of tip-off, despite having that big lead already.
Yeah. You know, my wife said, Ursula said, like, it was so loud there.
Yeah.
And I think I blocked it out a little bit. I mean, even some of the players, Mike said, like, you know, last year was loud, but he said this year could have been even louder. And I have to say, I was so into it at times, I just blocked it out. But just seeing pink everywhere, I thought that pink was a great color choice. And it looked great. I saw some of the photos later. I saw the one that TB is dunking the ball. I mean, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And then you see the sea of pink at the back. And our fans have been amazing. I mean, they've been amazing throughout the course of the year. Supporters and you know, it shows how quickly tickets sold out for the semi-finals, right? I mean, it just kind of shows there is a real appetite for basketball. I mean, everyone's so excited for us playing next year in Europe. We need the bigger venue, really, don't we? I mean, it's as simple as that.
Yeah, it can't come soon enough, really, can it? Just get us in there, get us in Ashton Gate.
Speaking of the fans, there was one point where I looked over at the left-hand side, and I don't think the referee had made a call that people were happy with, and I saw Ursula shouting her head off at the referees. You can tell her I said that.
I saw the photo of her playing defense on the baseline. Do you see that one?
Oh, that's it. Yeah, I mean, against London. London. I mean, I think it was the last play of the game where Mike is playing defense on Taylor, I think, and Ursula is right there, kind of thing, straight up, like great defense. It runs in our family. It's in our it's in our DNA defense, isn't it? So yeah, I think she was worried a little bit. I hope she doesn't mind saying it. She was worried. She went back to check the video just to hear, just if people could hear what she was saying. So I don't know what she was saying, but obviously she wasn't happy. I would not mess with her. So get your cause right.
Love it. 82-81 the final score on Sunday, which meant that Flyers won the season series 179-152 on aggregate. It means obviously Leicester Riders in the semi-finals. First leg on Friday, 7:30 p.m. tip-off. You can watch it live on the BBL YouTube channel. The second leg is on Sunday, 5:15 tip-off. Coverage starts at 5 p.m. over on Sky Sports. It's our third Sky Sports game in a while, Sam.
Looking forward to it, man. I love a bit of Sky. To be honest, you can still watch it on YouTube anyway, but there's something special about doing it through Sky Sports, isn't there, Joe?
Yeah, it is on the Sky Sports YouTube channel as well. You can watch that 5 p.m. Coverage for a 5:15 tip-off. Obviously, just a quick mention, tickets are completely sold out for that home leg on Friday. And in record time, Sam, we did a priority period for 24 hours for season ticket holders and members. As soon as they went on general sale, 15 minutes later, completely gone. Nothing. I was literally sat at home refreshing the computer and just watching the numbers just shoot down. Every time I refreshed, there'd be less tickets and less tickets and less tickets. 15 minutes, completely gone. It was crazy.
Behind me in the office, I sit next to Shahan, who's our head of ticketing, and we were there like on the screen being like, refresh. Who's got it in their basket? It's been in there 9 minutes now. If they leave it there for one more minute, they'll be booted out. And we were just having a great time. So yeah, 15 minutes, all gone. Very, very fun. Yeah. Enjoyed it.
Just goes to show, doesn't it, Coach, as how much the fans have really got into basketball, especially over these last 2 years with the last couple of playoff runs.
Yeah, I think, our players are saying that as well, that you walk around the street and you go, oh, you're playing for the Flyers and stuff. I think, getting to taxis or whatever kind of thing. I think there's a lot more awareness around the Flyers. I think I find it now, like we will take a walk with Ursula and Ruby, and suddenly, someone will stop and say, "Hey, coach, it's great, come and watch the game." So it happens to all of us, I think. So I think our brand is a lot more out there, and I mean, it's exciting, right? Like you come to the games and you get hooked, really, don't you? I think it just takes one game, and it just shows how difficult it is to get hold of tickets. And I mean, the fact that we were in, was it January, and I think we had sold out for the rest of the regular season.
Everything.
I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean, okay, like the reality is, we've got to be honest, we have the smallest venue in the league, or one of the smallest venues in the league, so you would like to think that we can do that with a much bigger venue coming on board. But still, to sell out so far ahead, I think that's incredible, really. It just kind of shows that we need the new venue. I keep on saying that. We've got to take the atmosphere and but again, it's a project, right? We have been going for 18 years.
Yeah.
So it's building momentum over those years, really. So yeah, it's great.
You say it's the smallest venue, but we've been to a few away games, and I feel like a couple of those away games have probably had less than 750 fans in there
sure.
at times this season as well. So to sell out 750, it's in 15 minutes as well of general sale. It's not. It is something to be proud of, but obviously we have ambitions to sell 3,500, and that's where our job comes into play and try and market the team going into the arena at Ashton Gate. So it's great to see. Coach, just
bring in LeBron James that year, I reckon. Get him in the team, mate.
Got your LeBron James thing on this one? LeBron James. Coach, just quickly before we let you go, because I know you're super busy prepping for Leicester Riders, have to talk about the series against Leicester. What kind of matchups are you expecting over these next two games? Because there's been nothing separating these two teams throughout the whole season.
I mean, we're planning the defending champions, right? Like the playoff champions. I mean, Coach Paternostro and his team, there has been consistency there. They have set the standard for years, and obviously London are very strong this year. We have a lot of respect for them and how they go about doing things. I think it's going to be a really tough physical battle. I think how the teams match up. Last game, they got the better of us, and they were able to get the head-to-head. I mean, at the start of the year, you will not say that both teams will finish on the same record, 25 wins and 11 losses, right? No one will say that kind of thing. We look forward to it. To be the best, you got to beat the best. So it's as simple as that, really. We really enjoy this battle. Whatever happens in this battle, I mean, we want to be in that playoff final. I mean, that's, as a group, that's what we're aiming for. But whatever happens is, I've said to our players need to be incredibly proud for what they've achieved. This league is a very tough league. To win 25 games in this league, it's something great. And, considering we have only 3 players returning from last year's team and a lot of guys, rookies, like first year playing professional basketball kind of thing, and to be able to put the performances that we've done, I think it's remarkable. It's something to have our heads high. But we feel the job is not over yet.
Yeah, and you look at the season series, but the series is tied at 2 games apiece, and every game has been gone in the way of the home team. So it just shows how important that home court advantage is going to be on Friday to build a lead going into that game on Sunday, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think if I'm correct, Leicester have had the second best home court record in the league, and I think we had the third best, and London have had the first best, I think, if I'm correct, kind of thing. I think it just kind of shows home court advantage is really important. That's something that we talked at the start of the season. The first thing, it was actually the game against Manchester. It was the first home regular season game, and we said it, protecting home court advantage is huge. So yeah, I think that will be very interesting in the series. Yeah.
Before we let you go, just one final question. Just what would it mean for you personally to lead Flyers to their first ever playoff final if results can go our way this weekend?
I mean, it will be everything, on a personal level. I mean, to see the club and what we've gone through the last 18 years, to be in an opportunity to play in front of 17,000 people at the O2, it will just be incredible. We have 2 very difficult games. We don't want to rush ahead. We've got to stay in the moment. I think that's the reality of it. it will be something awesome. I think on a personal level, but I think on the bigger picture, like the amount of volunteers, the people behind the scenes, everyone working really hard at SGS, Bristol Sport. I think it will be an incredible moment for the club, and our goal is to win a BBL championship. I've said it from day one. So it will be an incredible moment.
Great stuff. Well, we'll let you get on because obviously you've got a lot of work to do ahead of the game on Friday. Congrats on the big announcement today. Best of luck for both games this weekend.
Thank you very much. I was expecting like the word of the week.
Well, we got that.
I was getting ready for the questions, but no, I appreciate. I mean, you know how busy it is. It's a very quick turnaround as well. It was great to be here. Obviously, it's exciting news. The future is bright, but we want to stay in the moment, and we have the great matchup against Leicester.
Great stuff. Sam, right, it's time for us to look back at what's been going on around the BBL this week.
You're listening to the Bristol Flyers podcast.
Well, that was a good chat with Coach K, wasn't it?
I love having Coach K on, Joel. He's so insightful. He offers a lot of insight to. I mean, I'm going to keep saying insight here. He's brilliant. I absolutely. I learn something new every time he's on, and I just really appreciate it.
Yeah, he's really good. There's no person more passionate about Flyers hoops than Coach K. So it's really great to see. Coach K's gone because he's got some prep to do for his big game on Friday. I don't know if you noticed, we've got a playoff game to play. Oh, hang on, I've muted you. There you go.
Yeah, I was on the other one. What we got? Playoff game? Not heard about that, mate.
Yeah. So it's time for us to get to this week's news. And first up, the big news around the BBL. GB basketball team, the GB senior men's team, they are looking for a new head coach. Of course, part of the review process that we spoke about in the podcast a few weeks ago. Nate Ranking's out. And they're looking for a new head coach to take the reins.
Fine, I'll do it. I will. Joel, I'll do it, mate. If that's what they want, they need a new head coach. GB, I'll do it.
Right, other news around the league. Friday night, we've got a big playoff game at home at SGS College Arena. Of course, tickets are sold out. However, we want fans to bring their playoff tees if they were at the quarterfinals to the semis. So if you were there, the big pink tees, we talked about that earlier with Coach, but they were great, weren't they?
I mean, I don't think everyone had the same vision. They're like, pink, really? But when they were on, they looked insane. And the picture the coach was on about of TB dunking, the huge dunk, the pink in the background, it actually looked amazing. And I was absolutely buzzing to see it all there, Joel.
Yeah, so if you were one of the lucky fans that managed to get your tickets for the quarterfinal at home on Sunday, and you got given a free t-shirt from our partners at Drive Direct, do head on down and bring it.
Bring a tee, wear pink, whatever. It's going to look amazing. Bigger. And I'm not going to lie, it was a different vibe on Sunday because we obviously were 26 points up. So the crowd were going. It was great. But because we are starting afresh, we need everyone to be going crazy the whole way through. Every point counts from start to finish. Be behind the team, get it going, and tear the roof off of SGS.
Yeah, let's build as big a lead as possible as we can going into that second leg on Sky Sports on Sunday. And also, you're not allowed to wash your pink tees because that's bad luck. So you have to wear the same pink tee all the way to the O2, and that could be a bit smelly at the end there, couldn't it? Other news going on around the league. We've launched our third and final Web Gains Never Stop Learning Challenge. So, Sam, we're asking fans to recreate Malcolm Delpech's low post workout. I think we can get it up on screen here, producer Dan. And if you want to win 2 tickets to the BBL playoff final and a free day at a Bristol Flyers holiday camp, we're asking fans to download the Bristol Sport Foundation app and upload a video of themselves taking on the challenge. We've got some mic and drill, followed by some drop step finishes. And
the kid's going to be dunking like that, Joe.
Well, you can finish with a layup. That's absolutely fine. And then we've got hook shots to finish it off. Be like Malcolm. Upload your video to the Bristol Sport Foundation app. And next week on the podcast, Sam, we'll pick a winner to win 2 tickets to the BBL playoff final and a free space at a Bristol Flyers holiday camp day.
That hook shot is a Malcolm Delpech special, isn't it?
It is textbook Malcolm Delpech. If you open up the book, first page, left-handed, baby hook shot, it's right there in the scouting report.
Love it.
Don't let it happen, but it always happens every single week. Other news going on. Right, Flyers rewards. If you're a season ticket holder or a member, you've got until the end of May to redeem all your loyalty points before they expire. and to help you spend those loyalty points, we've got some great prize draws coming to the loyalty scheme and a whole bunch of game-worn jerseys, Sam, from the 2019-20 squad, which was the squad that made the BBL Cup final just before COVID hit us. We've got a whole bunch of game-worn signed jerseys from that season that you can spend 180 points on of your loyalty points that you've earned throughout the season, and you can enter into the draw, and we'll pick a winner for each jersey at the end of the month. So you can spend all your points on draw entries. You can enter more than once into the draw for more chance to win. You could spend, if you've got 1,000 points, Sam, you could spend all 1,000 points on one single prize draw for your chance, and to get the best chance of winning said jersey. It's amazing. Here's a look at some of the jerseys we've got up for grabs. We've got a Fred Thomas jersey, a Josh Rogers jersey, a Daniel Adozie jersey, and a Panos Mayandombe jersey.
Joe, I'm not going to lie, I might enter some of my points in, but I don't think I've even got any points, but if I did, I'd be trying to get one of those jerseys.
100%.
Awesome.
You can't buy those anywhere. They are the playoff final. The cup final jersey that we wore at the Utilita Arena back in January 2020. We won't talk about the result in that game. You got to spend all your points by the end of the month, because if you don't use them, you're going to lose them.
No likey, no lighty.
Yeah. Final bit of news I've got for you, Sam, and this one's a biggie.
I don't. This is. I don't believe you on this one, Joe. Have you actually gone and done it, mate?
We've teased it. We've teased it for weeks on end. Weeks on end, we've teased our end of season finale. We haven't announced it yet, but I can tell you right now, I can reveal what we're doing right here on the Bristol Flyers podcast. So if you're a podcast listener, you're hearing this first before anyone else hears it.
Go on then, Joel. Lay it on me, mate. What have we got?
Mark your calendars. Monday, May 15th.
Oh, I can't make that. No, I'm joking.
Monday, May 15th, at the Village Hotel, we are hosting a live audience episode of the Bristol Flyers podcast.
Yes.
It's our end of season finale. We've got all the players going to be there, the whole coaching staff, and you, the fans, and you can get a free ticket for it. You have to go to the Bristol Flyers website once we've released tickets. There's about 160 tickets available, so there's not too much. I mean, they could go like hotcakes. Who knows? We've never done this before, so there could be no one there. It could just be us recording a podcast.
Hey, like normal then.
Like normal. But we're going to a live audience, so we actually get to engage with you, the listeners, and the watchers on YouTube. I'm so excited for this. It's your final chance to see all the players, all the staff, before they go home for the end of the season. It's the day after the BBL playoff final. So who knows, Sam? If we make the final and somehow win the championship, we could be joined by the playoff title on the podcast.
That would be insane, wouldn't it, Joe?
But it'll be a great chance to celebrate the season all together. The Flyers family is get us all together. We'll do a live podcast. We'll have fan Q&As. We'll get you to ask questions to our players. We'll have all the players up on stage. It'll be you and me, Sam. We'll have the coaches up on stage. We'll reflect on the season and hopefully, fingers crossed, reflect on our first ever BBL playoff championship. We will see. But how exciting is that?
I'm buzzing. I mean, it's a long time coming, this news, Joel. You've been teasing it to everyone for a long old while, but finally got it over the line. I'm really excited to do it with you, mate.
Well, the producer Dan over there still got to do a site visit, so we don't know whether he can actually make it happen. It's not going to be live. It's going to go out on the podcast feed. The actual episode will not be live, but it will be recorded in front of a live audience. So it's not going to be live on YouTube. I have to clarify that.
That's just because we can't control what everyone's going to say, Joe.
Yeah, and that as well. But we are going to release it the very next day, so it will be out on the Wednesday, as usual, on our major podcast providers, and on YouTube, hopefully, as well. We'll be down at the Village Hotel, back on the road again with the Bristol Flyers podcast. So, Sam, your WhatsApp's going off here.
I'm
You've got
sorry.
your Bluetooth connected to my desk.
I know, I've changed it, sorry.
So, yeah, exciting times. Monday, May 15th. Look out on the Bristol Flyers website for all the details as to how to get your free ticket. It's a ticketed event. We have a capacity of around 160. Let's pack it up. Let's pack up the podcast and let's take it up there, and hopefully we'll pack the place out at Village Hotel. It will be great.
Pack it up, pack it in. Let me begin.
Yeah, and on that note, it's time for us to get to Word of the Week.
You're listening to the Bristol Flyers podcast.
Okay, it's Word of the Week, Sam, and this is our very final Word of the Week of the season.
It is exciting because we got 2 words of the week to play, actually, don't we, Jolie?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, before we spin the wheel to decide the word for this weekend's playoff semi-final on Friday night, we have to listen back to last week's word, and the wheel decided that I'd have to say the word "hoyer" onto the Bristol Flyers podcast, thanks to Malcolm Delpesh, and I can say that I got it in bang on half-time on a Malcolm Delpesh play.
Love that.
It was when Malcolm Delpesh beat the buzzer and dunked it in transition. What a massive play that was, by the way.
What a huge dunk. That was unbelievable, wasn't it?
It was huge. And so I got it in right after that. I said the word "hoyer." Sam, are you ready? Take a listen to this. Stolen away by King. And here's Malcolm Delpesh. Jams it in on the buzzer. And that one had a bit of hoyer on it.
You got it in.
Hoyer on it. I also had no idea how on earth I was going to get that in, and somehow managed to get it in. So I'm very proud of myself there.
Did Tilly look at you funny when you did it?
Oh, well, he knew what the word was because I told him in advance.
Nice.
But he tried not to laugh. He did look at me like trying not to laugh. I saw I got a shout out in the Bristol Flyers supporters group page on Facebook. I can't remember who it was. Someone was like, "Great to see Joel get the word hoyer in there." I was like, brilliant. But we've got one more word, Sam, because we had Daniel Routledge on the podcast last week, and we asked him if he fancied taking part in our Word of the Week game, and he obliged, and we spun the wheel one more time. We added our very own word "dunk shot" to the wheel, and Sam, it landed on dunk shot. What a coincidence.
He was so reluctant. I was 99.9% convinced he wasn't going to do it, Joel.
Well, me too. I honestly thought he wasn't going to say it. But he did tweet us after the game. I tweeted him saying, I heard there was a few dunk shots in Leicester last night. He did it on his Sky Sports game. It was Leicester Riders versus Sheffield Sharks, BBL playoff quarter-final, second leg on Sky Sports. Nat Coombs hands over to Daniel Routledge to introduce the starting lineups, and Daniel Routledge only goes and says dunk shot. Sam, you've not heard this yet, have you?
No, I've kept it secret so I can get my first reaction to it, Joel. So
Sam, take a listen to this.
Let's take a look at the starting fives. And Zach Jackson has all sorts of ways to finish in the mid-range. Can get to the basket for a big dunk shot. 40% from 3 and 80 from the line. He's a versatile scorer.
How good is that?
I love it.
Natural. He can get all the way to the basket for a dunk, shot 40% from the line.
He's naughty. He's not. He knew what he was doing there, Joel.
But he did say dunk shot, and that's why he gets the big bucks. So shout out, Dan. Thanks for taking part in our silly little game on the podcast.
Love it.
And thanks for saying dunk shot. But Sam, it's time for us to give the wheel one more spin for the very final time this season. And we've got a word available. And because it's just you and I in the studio now, we thought it'd be good to let producer Dan decide a word to say on the podcast. So producer Dan is sat back there. Dan, we want you to pick a word to add to our wheel, and we'll go and add it to the wheel. What do you reckon, producer Dan? He's thinking. Go on, Dad. What you got for us?
He wasn't expecting this, so
he's expecting it. We caught him off guard here.
Yeah, normally he's got a lot of things to say, producer Dan. Actually,
he made an appearance on the podcast last week. But Dan, what do you reckon, Dan? One last word, one more attempt at spinning this wheel. The final time this season. What do you want us to add?
The first word in my head, Joel, was squidgy.
The first word in his head was squidgy.
Squidgy.
So that's what we're going with.
Right. Let's add squidgy to the wheel.
I don't even know how to spell it.
SQUIDGY.
Yeah, squidgy.
GY. Squidgy.
I hope it lands on that.
Squidgy's been added to my wheel. Can you see that, producer Dan, on your camera number 2? Yes, you can. Right, time for us to give the wheel a spin. I've added squidgy to the wheel. Sam, you got your soundboard at the ready? Are you ready? Let's give this wheel one more spin for the final time this season. Here we go. Here we go, then. If it lands on squidgy, it'd be amazing. What are we saying? Oh, It's landed on Scat Gang!
Scat Gang!
So thanks to Corey Samuels on the podcast right at the start of the season. It's been up there all season long, Scat Gang.
And didn't make
We
it.
didn't think it was going to get picked, but it did. It got picked, and Scat Gang is the word of the week. So I've got to try and say Scat Gang on this week's episode of the Bristol. I was going to say the episode of the Bristol Flyers podcast. On this week's game, BBL playoff semi-final first leg, Bristol Flyers versus Leicester Riders, and you can hear me do that 7:30 p.m. on the BBL YouTube channel.
You're listening to the Bristol Flyers podcast.
That's it for our word of the week, Sam. Word of the week is done for the season. There's no more home games for us to do word of the week on.
I bet you're excited about that, Joe.
I am very excited. Once I get this out, I've done, to be fair, to only have one forfeit to do all season long, I think is pretty good going.
Yeah, you did very well. Very, very well indeed.
We'll have to think of some kind of cool, new, funny game to play next season on the Bristol. Well, I'll say next season. Hopefully, it's coming back next season. We'll have to think of a cool new game to play next season on the Flyers podcast. Well, maybe see if we can keep the wheel involved. Maybe just mix it up a little bit. I don't know. We'll put our brains together and see what we can come up with, because I'm super excited to have some time off, and also I'm super excited to think up some new cool ideas. You, me, and producer Dan and producer Fred over there. So yeah, it'd be great. It'd be lovely. Sam, right, that's it for this week's episode of the podcast. How good was that episode?
Buzzing. I'm so excited about the ENBL. I must say, I thought you were going to, I thought we were actually launching it here on the podcast. So when I saw it go up online, I was like, oh no, someone's leaked it. And I was like, oh no, that's come from the official page. So
that's just me tweeting it.
Yeah.
We had it scheduled for 10 a.m. this morning. The podcast was planned in to record at 4. So if you're listening to this podcast, we recorded it at 4 p.m. I'm hoping it to go out tonight at some point. We'll see. Yeah, that's it for this week's episode. But we've got to talk about next week, Sam, because next week is our end of season Supporter Club Awards, and we've got Sam and Amy from the Bristol Flyers Supporters Club coming back on the Bristol Flyers podcast to reveal the winners of their end of season awards. It was fun last year, but now we're in the studio. We're gonna jazz it up a little bit, I think.
a couple of fresh waters, hopefully.
Get the fresh waters out, maybe get some smart clothing on, get out of these polos, these Flyers polos we're wearing. Yeah, we're going to reveal the winners of the Supporters Club Awards. There's still time, by the way, for you to vote on your Bristol Flyers Supporters Club end of season awards. You can head to the Bristol Flyers website. There's a whole bunch of categories, including MVP, Player of the Year, was it Best Defensive Player of the Year? There's even Best Hair. You can go and vote on the Bristol Flyers on the Bristol Flyers website. So hop on over bristolflyers.co.uk. You can vote on the awards, and we'll have Sam and Amy right here in the studio to reveal the winners on next week's show.
Buzzing.
And then after that, it's our live audience episode, which we'll plan over the next 2 weeks. And Sam, maybe we'll throw some ideas around for the live audience episode on next week's podcast as well.
If they've got some ideas, people can tweet them in. You can, send it on YouTube, Facebook, whatever you got, and maybe we'll see.
Let us know. Tweet us at Bristol Flyers, or you can leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube right down here. What do you want us to do or talk about on our end of season podcast, our live audience episode of the Bristol Flyers podcast? Let us know. That's it for this week's episode. Sam, anything else to add before we wrap up this week's show?
Nope. Nope.
Just a reminder from us, if you are enjoying the Bristol Flyers podcast, we really appreciate your support. Thank you so much for listening throughout the whole season so far. We've got 2 episodes to go of this season before we take some time off. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, do give us a rating and a review. All those podcasty things that podcast hosts tell you to do. If you're watching on YouTube, do like, comment, subscribe, and share it with a friend as well. If you're enjoying it, share it with someone else, and hopefully they'll enjoy it too. Right, great stuff. That's it. As I say, we'll see you next week on the Bristol Flyers podcast. Thanks for tuning in this week. We'll see you same time next week right here on the Bristol Flyers podcast.